नमस्कार, रायसीना रिपोर्ट्स में आपका एक बार फिर स्वागत है। मेरा नाम है राजेश आहूजा और आज हम बात करने वाले हैं बांग्लादेश की, जहां 12 फरवरी को चुनाव होने वाले हैं। और इस बारे में मेरे साथ बात करने के लिए मौजूद हैं मेरे पुराने साथी जयंत जेकब। जयंत और मैंने हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स और पिक स्टोरी दो जगह एक साथ काम किया है। जयंत अभी न्यू इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में डिप्लोमेटिक एडिटर हैं और चीफ ऑफ नेशनल ब्यूरो भी हैं। जयंत ने लंबे सालों तक बांग्लादेश को देखा है, न सिर्फ बांग्लादेश बल्कि भारत की तमाम राजनयिक गतिविधियों पर उन्होंने नजर बना के रखी है। जयंत, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है रायसीना रिपोर्ट्स में। आप पहली दफा आ रहे हैं।
थैंक यू।
जयंत, आपको क्या लग रहा है 12 फरवरी का चुनाव, आपको क्या रिपोर्ट्स बांग्लादेश से मिल रही हैं? कौन, किसका पलड़ा भारी है? Who holds the upper hand?
Rajesh, good to see you and good to be on your show. I think it's a very clear indication already out there. I think BNP is headed to power. I think they will rest the power. So though you see a lot of noises there from all other political formations, not other formations, only BNP and Jamaat is in the fray. Anyway, Awami League is banned and all these small parties, they don't hold much sway electorally. I think it's BNP's election. After 2006, they are headed back to power. That's my reading and that is what I am hearing.
जैन, आपको लगता है कि तारिक रहमान जो हैं उन्होंने बीएनपी को पूरी तरीके से उनके पीछे आ गई है, खासतौर पर उनकी मदर खालिदा जिया के निधन के बाद से? पार्टी इज फुली बिहाइंड हिम एंड गियर्ड अप टू मेक हिम प्राइम मिनिस्टर?
Because there is no other option. All these dynasty parties are like that. You take any dynasties in South Asian political families, it's always some phase comes from that particular political dynasty and the known family. That is the same case with Tariquerahman. He has been in the waiting for so long. He's already 60, 17 years in exile, and see the kind of welcome you must have seen. All of us have seen that the kind of welcome he got when he came back to Bangladesh after 17 years and landed in Dhaka on December 25th, a few days away from his mother passing away. So he was always controlling the party and its narrative from London to a great extent. Of course, he was not on the ground, but all these political parties, especially the dynasty political parties, the succession line is very clear. In this case, after Khalida Zia, the succession line belongs to Tariquerahman. I think he's all set for becoming the Prime Minister of Bangladesh at 60. And all other, like we see in most of the dynasty parties in South Asia, whether it is in Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, once the dynasty comes to take reign as the prime minister, there is no much opposition from other sides. Everybody falls in line. Even if a couple of dissents are there, they are thrown out. So I think everything is set for Tariquerahman in Bangladesh.
जैन, हमने तारिक रहमान के बारे में बहुत सुना है। जब खालिदा जिया पहले बांग्लादेश की प्रधानमंत्री थी तो ऐसा माना जाता था कि पावर सारी की सारी तारिक रहमान विल्ड करते थे और बहुत सारे आरोप भी उन पे लगते थे कि बांग्लादेश में जो कुछ डील होता है, सब कुछ है, वो उसके पीछे तारिक रहमान जी हैं। उन्हीं का पूरा जलवा रहता है। काफी रिजेंटमेंट भी रहता था पार्टी में भी। ऑपोजिशन तो बात करता ही था, पार्टी के अंदर भी काफी सारी बातें होती थी। तारिक रहमान अपनी उस छवि से, उस इमेज से वो बाहर आ चुके हैं। कहना चाहिए कि अब वो मैच्योर्ड है। 17 साल के एग्जाइल के बाद ही हैज कम बैक।
You're right. When BNP was in power those days, and this used to be known as the most corrupt government anywhere in the world, let alone in South Asia, and all the deals, there was a share to be given to a particular person. All those talks were in rife those days, and a lot of that was correct also. There was a lot of public resentment against the way Bangladesh was governed by the BNP then. But if you look at what happened in last 17 years of government and 18 months, there is an interim government. Before that, 3 terms of Sheikh Hasina government. Again, that resentment was there. in a different way. There was an authoritarian regime. They are suppressing public sentiment, protests. So I think there was, of course, corruption under BNB. It was a huge issue, and especially the last part of Sheikh Hasina's government, public resentment was again back. So I think people have forgotten what he has done. That was some distance away. People are more refreshed with the memories of Sheikh Hasina government and how they went after people and the protesters and things like that. So I think Tariquerahman will have a second lease of life, but it all depends on how he holds on to the power and governs the country. Because Bangladesh has a lot of issues in terms of economic development, poverty. It's not all their economic indicators are not right. So they have a lot of things to deal with, and they don't have enough credible political institutions. Though a lot of youngsters led this protest against Sheikh Hasina. So there is no credible political system in place that we have seen. And the interim government, especially of Muhammad Yunus in last 18 months, the country has become very divisive, very you see a lot of fissures have come out, and usually interim governments are tasked to govern the country till another government comes to power. But things went from bad to worse under this interim government. So a lot of things to get it right. I think people have really forgotten what happened so long ago, unless he does something of that sort again. But I think at 60, you may not be the same person that you were those days.
जैन, जमाते इस्लामी एक पार्टी जिसने 1971 की लिबरेशन वॉर में पाकिस्तान का साथ दिया, और लिबरेशन वॉर के बाद जब शेख मुजीब के हाथ में सत्ता आई, बांग्लादेश के बंगबंधु के हाथ में सत्ता आई, तो जमाते इस्लामी के तमाम लीडर्स भाग के पाकिस्तान चले गए, और तारिक रहमान के पिता मेजर जनरल जिया, उन्होंने जमात को रिहैबिलिटेट किया, उनके लीडर्स को वापस बांग्लादेश बुलाया और उनका एक तरीके से, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं, पुनर्वास किया। आपको लगता है कि अब वो रिहैबिलिटेशन पूरा हो चुका है? शेख हसीना जो है वो जमात को बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं करती थी। जमात के खासतौर पर पाकिस्तानी ताल्लुकात को लेकर भारत में भी बहुत सारी दिक्कतें हैं, भारत भी काफी चिंतित रहता है। लेकिन अभी जो ऐसा लग रहा है बांग्लादेश में जमात की जो हालत है, आपको लगता है कि पोस्ट 12 फरवरी 12 जो सिनेरियो इमर्ज हो रहा है, उसमें जमात का नई गवर्नमेंट फॉर्मेशन में कुछ ना कुछ रोल रहेगा?
If you look at historically, you are right. BNP has played a major role in mainstreaming Jamaat in Bangladesh. If you look at 1991 election, I think they have.
I'm sorry, I'm stopping you, but this time Jamaat has overtly, tied up with National Citizen Party, floated by the students who were at the forefront of, removing Sheikh Hasina from power.
Yeah. So if you look at historically, BNP has played a role in mainstreaming Jamaat. Like you mentioned, that's history. And if you look at the democratic history of recent years, in 1991, Jamaat had won 18 parliamentary seats. But if you look at the last government of Khaleda Zia, they were in alliance with the BNP despite only having 17 MPs in parliament. So you're right. In that way, Jamaat has played a key role in last BNP government. But then the second thing is here, this time if you look at the whole narrative that Jamaat has built in Bangladesh around the election, they sound the most secular party in Bangladesh. They may be something different, but if you look at the narrative, the way they have reached out, if you go through their manifesto, there is no mention of Pakistan in particular. They talk about all neighbors, including India, Nepal. So they sounded so secular and so women friendly. If you again look at their manifesto, it's very interesting. They haven't fielded a single woman candidate, but they talk a lot about women's rights, even in terms of getting their rightful share under personal law, having a particular kind of courts in legal system. Then they talk about restricting working hours for women, giving particular kind of incentives to working mothers. So all that they have said. So you are seeing a very completely different kind of a Jamaat from recent years. At least that is a posturing, that is a political positioning, electoral positioning that they are doing. Whether they will hold on to it, we have to wait and see. And also, if you look and talk to some of the Jamaat people and their affiliates, so it seems like that this time they are hoping to win 30 to 70 seats. So that is their calculation. Actually, how many will come only after the elections we will come to know. And this time also they could attract these students, like you said, the actual people who were the friend and the face of this revolt against Sheikh Hasina. So they are also in the Jamaat fold. So for the time being, Jamaat looks very democratic, looks very secular on the electoral front. There may be something else somewhere else, but I think they will end up as being an opposition party. They will play a role as the main opposition party unless it is too much of a close fight in Bangladesh. But if you go by all the opinion surveys and whatever calculations people make there, it seems like BNB is riding a wave. But you never know if one major party, that is Awami League, is not there. So this duopoly is not there in this time. But also don't forget, in Bangladesh these elections have never been free and fair. One in many ways, like there have been allegations against Sheikh Hasina, there have been boycotts by one party or the other. And in this scenario, I think as things stand now, BNB will form the government and Jamaat could play the role of an opposition. That is how it looks like.
जब जमात को लेकर अब जैसा आपने बताया, जो डिप्लोमेटिक सर्कल्स हैं, खासतौर पर जो वेस्टर्न पावर्स हैं, do you think they have also changed their view of Jamaat? There were media reports of American diplomats meeting Jamaat leaders in the run-up to.
That's true. Absolutely. I think even our diplomats engage with them. So everybody engaged with Jamaat. Jamaat has emerged as a very key democratic player, election player there. And also they hold an important space. And especially with their closeness with the revolting student leaders, etc. I think they have come out of the closet, which they have come out always. Only problem they faced was under Sheikh Hasina, like you pointed out early, they were banned, they were treated like traitors, they were chased out. So they were on the wrong side of the political leadership on the government that time. So now that has changed and everybody is reaching out to Jamaat. It's a fact. Like you mentioned, most of the diplomatic community, every country wants to understand what they are up to, what they are doing. And don't forget, they would very well emerge as the main opposition party. We will not say in next few years there is no Awami League. It will be BNB and Jamaat Islami. So in their parlance, they don't even call them Jamaat Islami. Mostly if you go to Bangladesh, they are known as Jamaat. Like that is how they are known as.
Jayanth, another thing, Muhammad Yunus, ये इलेक्शन जो है उनके बाद उनकी क्या भूमिका रहेगी, उनका क्या रोल रहेगा? मेरा एक पर्सनल इसमें ओपिनियन रहा है कि आपको अगर नोबेल पुरस्कार मिला है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं होता है कि आप बहुत बड़े एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हो जाते हैं. हमने म्यांमार में देखा आंग सान सू की, एंड सेम इज द केस विद मोहम्मद यूनुस. सो what is going to be his role in post-election scenario?
But I think he will be suitably rehabilitated, and also he's very old. So I don't think he will be holding for some or aiming for something very big in political terms. So he will be properly rehabilitated. And also don't forget the fact that he's the darling of the West. Like he's very close to the Americans, Europeans like him. He's a Nobel laureate, and also he took his anger against Sheikh Hasina government as well. He was not a neutral interim government leader. So usually interim governments are very neutral. They are trying to set the stage ready for the next government to take over. But in this case, we have seen all kind of vendetta being taken out against a previous regime. I'm not saying that all that previous regime did was great in terms of everything, but their behavior as an interim government and the leader of an interim government is far from fair. So that is why you see a lot of complexities. He had the image as an economist, as a Nobel laureate, a person who can be accepted by everybody. But at the end of the day, none of this worked. It was some kind of a government which didn't actually have a clue on the system. So 18 months was pretty bad. You look at Bangladesh politics very divided. There was attack on minorities, and it's like they were coming out with statements like blaming everybody else, not the administrative failures or the law and order situation. So I think that was a very bad phase in terms of interim government, despite all the toll claims they made. Then, like I mentioned earlier, but he will be suitably rehabilitated. So 18 months at least he could preside over an election. If this election happens to be violence free and fair, he will take some credit for that, and he will get some credit for that. So his rehabilitation and net phase of his life is, I think, it's set.
Then student leaders, they were the ones who were at the forefront of so-called revolution. But are they going to taste political power as well?
It's very difficult. Maybe in future you never know, because like you mentioned, they were at the forefront of it, but they don't have the enough critical mass to come to power. So Bangladesh even now remains a strong duopoly between two dynasties. One is Khalidasiya, one is Sheikh Hasina. So their successors are there in the race, and one dynasty is not contesting because Awami League is banned, her party is banned. The other BNP is there, so tariquerahman is said to be the prime minister. So all other players, especially the new players, the student leaders and the movement, they could trigger a change, but they don't have the enough critical mass with them to come to power and rule the country.
ज्यादा दूर नहीं दिखना है जयंत उनको, जस्ट सीमा का थोड़ा सा इधर आकर असम में उनको दिखना है, और उनको नजर कि तो कैसे स्टूडेंट लीडर्स जो हैं वो सत्ता में आए थे.
जी जी. So he was the youngest chief minister in India for long. It's like 36 as President Muganda became. That was a massive agitation all over thing. They didn't need an established party. Bangladesh still the hold of these two established parties, Awami League and BNP, it's still there. Even now, though Sheikh Hasina is in hiding and is away from Bangladesh, Awami League can still hold protest. They can still bring people onto the street. BNP, as you mentioned earlier, they still have a sizable vote bank. The people still look forward to them. Tariquerahman is seen as a future prime minister. He was a man in waiting for so long. But that kind of a hold, the student movement, and also all this movement, what happens in Assam students agitation, at least there was one face and one leader. Here, of course, there are a couple of leaders, but they don't have the enough capacity to rally a large number of people. Bangladesh is 170 million people. It's a reasonably big population for a small country. So I think they don't have the capacity to rally a lot of people together to get into that kind of a political heft which require in this electoral politics. Like that is the kind of numbers you require to come to power. I don't think they have that.
And last question, do you see Sajib Joy playing the same role that Tariquerahman played in the last decade and a half?
I think he has to undergo a massive transformation. He doesn't seem to be very much interested in politics. So the thing is that if you have that kind of an interest, you will not be able to sit away and do politics. You may have to come to Bangladesh, dirty your hands and do that kind of politics, unless he is exiled or banned or something like that. But the problem in Bangladesh again is that their animosity is too much. Like if you look at their election systems, even this anger, the animosity, they don't even agree on their father of the nation. So that kind of, and they don't have enough institutions. So Bangladesh politics is very, it's very complex, and at the same time you see the hold of these two families are too big. So one dynasty versus the other dynasty won't be a bad idea, but whether he will be enough interested to come to Bangladesh and to dirty his hands and be in the ring role of politics, that is a question we have to see. But I think Awami League is still has sizable presence, though Sheikh Hasina is pretty old and may not be able to lead one more fight. But you never know in politics, especially nobody retires and nobody can write off because they still have popular support, some sort of a base in Bangladesh. So that we have to see.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जयंत हमसे बात करने के लिए. इलेक्शन बस एक दिन बाद ही है, उसके बाद भी बांग्लादेश की जो भी स्थिति बनेगी, जो भी सरकार बनेगी, उसको लेकर हम आपसे बार बार चर्चा करते रहेंगे. उम्मीद है आप हमारे दर्शकों के लिए समय निकालते रहेंगे.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you.